When I was back at United, it started to be introduced that players would have their own individual programmes and they'd have sometimes their own individual coaches. Have you got a team around you that sort of work with you separately from also the club's coaching staff as well?
Yeah, 100%. But I've had that from a really young age. Once I signed my first professional contract, I wanted to...
Was it 17 or 16?
Yeah, 17. But I didn't... You're still in college, you don't really need the money that they're giving you. So I thought, I had a conversation with my brother, and I think it's important to invest it in yourself and, you know, do what you can do to better yourself. So I got myself a psychologist and a strength and conditioning coach from 17 and just stayed with them throughout, really.
Are they still with you now, just to have that team around you, that tight team?
Yeah, because I don't like to chop and change.
We'll get back to Gary and Marcus in just a quick second, but remember, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. And also don't forget to click the notification button so that you know when the next Big D video hits. And also, don't forget, you know what to do. If there's something on your mind, the comment section is for you. So please, if something's bubbling up inside, if you need to get something off your chest, please put it in the comments. I read all of the comments and I am always interested in what you have got to say. Anyway, this clip comes from an interview that Gary Neville did with Marcus Rashford about 18 months ago after his 30-goal epic season. And this one flew under the radar for the Big D. And this is the second clip that I'm commenting on from this video. And I found this particular clip incredibly revealing about who Marcus Rashford is and what motivates him. And it does, to me, foreshadow the situation that he's in right now by leaving Manchester United and going to Aston Villa on loan. Anyway, I'll show you the clip first, then stick around for afterwards, and I am going to be giving my thoughts on this clip and what they were talking about and what not. Here's the boys.
He's a continuous training.
Yeah.
What's Erik Ten Hag's pre-season like last season compared to, say, the other managers that you've had previously?
Erik's is one of the toughest, I'd say.
What, physically, running-wise, or...?
Running-wise, yeah, but also just we do a lot of, like, passing drills and it's a lot of mental concentration, and when you're tired, you know, it's difficult to concentrate, you know, for long periods of time when you're already physically tired.
Just like running with obviously during the actual ball.
Yeah, we usually do it in between. So we'll do a technical, I don't know, 20, 30-minute session, and then we'll go into maybe 8 or 10 blocks of box-to-boxes or like shorter intensity runs, and then we'll go back into technical.
Yeah.
So it's not actually a tough session, but when you do it in the heat of the places that we train, then it's proper challenging. And but no, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I turned up to pre-season in good shape, so I was just enjoying, you know, the new coach and getting used to him.
When I was back at United, it started to be introduced that players would have their own individual programmes and they'd have sometimes their own individual coaches. Have you got a team around you that sort of work with you separately from also the club's coaching staff as well?
Yeah, 100%. But I've had that from a really young age. Once I signed my first professional contract, I wanted to...
Was it 17 or 16?
Yeah, 17. But I didn't... You're still in college, you don't really need the money that they're giving you. So I thought, I had a conversation with my brother, and I think it's important to invest it in yourself and, you know, do what you can do to better yourself. So I got myself a psychologist and a strength and conditioning coach from 17 and just stayed with them throughout, really.
Are they still with you now, just to have that team around you, that tight team?
Yeah, because I don't like to chop and change. Like I feel like they know me from when I was younger and, you know, before everything happened with United, like the success and stuff like that, they know me from before that, so I feel comfortable around them.
It blows my mind, that, because I used to think like tennis player or a golfer or like an individual athlete would have their team around them. Then if you're in a team sport, you'd all do the collective together and you'd all work together.
I think sometimes it gets neglected when you're in a team sport, but you have to remember, in a team sport, if every individual's at the top of the game or the best that they can be, as a team you're going to be better. So it's obviously important to do stuff as a team, because you need to win together and fight for each other, but at the same time, especially in the forward positions, I feel like you have to be able to bring something different to the table. So yeah, I've always just had that team around me, and I feel like it's been beneficial to me, so I probably won't change.
I came out of football 12 years ago as a player, but 5-6 years ago as a coach. It feels to me like it's gone to another level. There's sort of this type of camp, you know, there's not just you here, there's other players as well.
Yeah.
Just practicing and literally perfecting everything rather than just taking your rest.
Yeah, I just think that the level's so high in the league. If I don't do these things, maybe you start the season and you don't feel like you're up to scratch, and you know, I don't want to be in that position. I don't think it's a nice position to be in. You know, you've probably played in games yourself where the other team's been that much better than you, and you're just a step behind everything.
Yeah. What would you say is the one thing that you'd like to add to your sort of, you know, the physicality element? Because you look absolutely spot on. You've got no body fat on you. You're lightning quick. You're strong. You know, what is it? Just maintaining what you've got? Is there something that you think you'd like to add to your game that would make you a lot better?
I think there's always elements. I think it's always important to work on your strengths. I never stop working on my strengths. And, you know, you want to get your weaknesses as good as they can get, but, you know, your weaknesses are more often than not always going to be a little bit behind your strengths. So mine's left foot heading. I always want to work on them. And I feel like
your heading's getting better though, eh?
Yeah, but I still feel like I should score more because I out-jump most people. So I feel like if I'm in the position, in the right areas in the box, then I should be getting, you know, 7 to 10 headers a season. So I still feel like I can do that, and I'll be pushing to do that next season.
And what about the left foot in terms of that side of things? You have a finishing coach. Do you work on that side of it a lot?
Yeah, for me, with my left foot, it's just about confidence, you know. Like, I feel like when I'm confident, I score with it.
Because you're on that left side a lot, aren't you, going down that left channel?
Yeah. When I'm not confident, it just never goes right with my left foot. Yeah.
When you're not confident in terms of your overall game or just,
Yeah. But if I'm feeling confident and I'm feeling, you know, strong and fit and healthy, I feel like if I get an opportunity on my left, I've got a good chance of scoring, as long as, like I said, as long as I'm in the right areas. Yeah. So a lot of it is about just getting into the right areas, because my striker coach, he was a forward, so he always gives me information on getting in across the front post, or, you know, on the shoulder of defenders and stuff like that. But it's good for me to know that, because even when I'm wide, it helps me understand what my forward would be thinking and where I need to deliver the ball or try and, you know, get assists from that aspect. And if I am making the box, I know where I need to be. So,
how much do you analyse your game after? Let's say a game's finished on a Saturday. How much do you analyse sort of your performance after that game, or do you move on to the next because the next one's coming so quickly?
Yeah, I think when you've got 3 games a week, I analyse it, but maybe not as much.
Yeah.
Probably the day after a game. If I've got a week between, I'll recover the day after a game and then do it on the Monday.
The Monday,
yeah. But I think it's important, because a lot of my game is just being in the right positions at the right time. Yeah. I think sometimes wingers neglect it now, but for me it's because I can always see the forward. The forward can't see me, so I have to go off his movements. But at the same time, whichever defender's marking me, I have to make it a tough day for him and, you know, try and get blindside of him, make sure he can't see me. When he gets square, try and get across him in them moments. But because I've been, you know, working on it for so long, it is becoming like second nature now, and I find myself looking for them things without really telling myself to do it. So that's good, but, you know, you have to keep working on it to keep improving.
So this clip reveals a lot to the Big D about who Marcus Rashford is. He comes across as a really sensitive, gentle soul, but also he comes across as a very intelligent, deep-thinking and pragmatic individual. Now, there's a few things to comment on here with regards to Marcus. Now, he's obviously come from a very poor upbringing. So the financial component to his situation with Manchester United is a very important component. And we'll put that over here for just 1 second. Now, also, he mentioned there that he always works on his strengths, and he doesn't necessarily convince us that he's worked on his negative traits as a footballer. But he also said as well that when he was younger, he invested in himself with psychologists and having a team around him to make the most of the situation that he was in. So that suggests so many things to the Big D. That, as I say, he's very pragmatic, he's got his head switched on, and he knows what he's got to offer. However, there does seem to be a flip side to the way he seems to be, and that is sort of the Cristiano Ronaldo syndrome, the Big D calls it. And that is Cristiano Ronaldo, although he was very switched on, very business astute, his main priority was becoming the best footballer on the planet. That was it. And he understood that everything else flowed downstream from that status. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo realised very quickly that to become the best footballer on the planet, he needed to be able to score goals, or score more goals than anyone else, and assist more than anyone else. Or at the very least, score goals more than anyone else, but play for the biggest teams and win the biggest trophies. So that's what he aimed for, okay? Marcus Rashford seems to want to maximise his strengths. He doesn't necessarily want to work on his weaknesses like Cristiano Ronaldo did. Because Cristiano Ronaldo was a tricky winger, did loads of step-overs, scored the odd goal and got the odd assist. And then he worked and worked and worked and worked and worked and worked and worked on his game. And then, out of nowhere, he could score long-range efforts, he could score tap-ins, he could create, he could score headers, he could score with his right foot, his left foot. He was the complete attacking cyborg of a footballer. Whereas Marcus Rashford, he's very much... He can do two things really well. He's fast and he can finish. Three things, and he can play on the counter-attack. But he, as he says there, he hasn't worked on his left foot, he hasn't worked on his headers as much as he could, and so he doesn't seem to have the mentality to become the best footballer in the world. But he does understand that he's physically gifted and also that he's in an excellent opportunity and from a young age, so he just seems to want to maximise the opportunity, okay, and do what he can to maintain that status so that he can maximise the opportunity. Now, whether or not that's a monetary kind of motivation because of his upbringing, I'm not entirely sure. It does suggest that maybe that has been the case. However, it might have gotten to the situation where he's secured his family's financial status, and there's nothing wrong with this, by the way. The Big D is not necessarily passing judgment if indeed the money factor is the factor that's driven Marcus Rashford. The Big D is not blaming him for that, because the Big D would take the money too. But it seems to me he perhaps has secured the financial security of his family. He's took a pragmatic approach under Ruben Amorim, realised that this team isn't going anywhere anytime soon, or he feels that way anyway, and he doesn't fancy going through another 8 rebuilds and waste the prime of his career in a team in transition. And Man United have been in a team in transition for the past, 12 years? Something like that. So he's probably thought, I think it's time. I can't be bothered with this hassle. I've made my money. Now I want to play for a settled side that maximises my strength and that I can potentially win the biggest trophies, which is obviously why he wants to go to Barcelona, which is his first choice. Which would make sense, him putting the effort in against Aston Villa, because basically playing for Aston Villa, he's in the shop window for the summer. Because it doesn't look like he's going to Manchester United. He's going to stay at Manchester United anyway. So he'll want to maximise his value in the summer, if indeed he is as pragmatic as the Big D suggests. So the Big D has analysed this and spoken about this out loud to try and make sense of this clip that the Big D has just seen. And that's what the Big D thinks at the moment. Now, going back to the psychology part of this situation. So he's mentioned there that he had his own psychologist and whatnot. that if Marcus Rashford was playing under Fergie, for instance, he would be a much better player than what he is now, and he would probably be a lot more consistent, scoring 30 goals a season, or 20, 25, 30 goals a season on a semi-regular basis, because Alex Ferguson always managed to get the best out of his players psychologically. Okay. And also, he always knew how to get the best out of different players within the confines of the team. But also, as well, if Marcus Rashford had players like Rio Ferdinand, Paul Scholes, Roy Keane, Michael Carrick, Wayne Rooney, like prime, all of these players, Vidic, Evra, around him all day, every day, sort of pushing him and pushing him and pushing him and setting the example of professionalism, then I can't help but feel as though that would rub off on Marcus Rashford, and perhaps his mindset would change to the point where he's not just working on his strengths, because there's no point working on your strengths too much, because they are your strengths. Do enough to keep them sharp, yes, but work on your weaknesses. And then you become a more complete player, more well-rounded, you'll score more goals, you'll help the team will thrive, and then you won't need to move on for a new challenge, so to speak. So I think the situation with Marcus Rashford is just a combination of a lot of different things. The money's definitely played a part. He's secured his financial future, his family's financial future. So now it's probably about the football. He's looked at the situation. He understands that Manchester United aren't going to be challenging anytime soon for the Premier League. He's won everything else in English football. So if he's not going to win the Premier League, he's probably going to want to try and win a national title elsewhere, like in Barcelona, for instance. And he's in his prime, so he wants to sort of make the most of his prime in a more settled side that will get the best out of his talents. And just the sad situation that Man United are in, he's probably fed up, and it's just not been a good situation all round. But I kind of like the thought of Marcus being a very pragmatic soul. He's obviously tried to make the most of his time as a professional footballer in the best way that he can from a young age. And he just seems to be a player that's got loads of talent that has just lacked like an Alex Ferguson figure, a consistent Alex Ferguson figure in his life. But anyway, it was an interesting clip, that. But what do you guys think of the clip? Do you think it was quite a revealing clip about, who Marcus Rashford is as a human being? And if so, why do you think that? And do you think things could have been a lot better? Would he have become a world-class player had he played under Sir Alex Ferguson? Because when Ronaldo was surrounded by Keane, Ferdinand, Rooney, Vidic, Evra, all those guys, they were constantly at him. Goals and assists, goals and assists, goals and assists. And maybe if they were doing that to Marcus, it would be in a different kettle of fish. But anyway, what do you guys think? If you've lasted this long in my video, you're clearly interested in what the Big D has to say. So please put your thoughts in the comments. I read all of the comments, and the Big D will see it in the next one.